This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Finance Committee of Ascension Parish Council, Monday, March the 12th, 2012. Representative Councilman Lawson, will you please lead us in the invocation?
Sure.
And
Please
if you'll
stand.
all remain standing for the pledge, please. I'm sorry.
Heavenly Father, we just ask that in this time that we come together to make decisions for this parish, that you would just guide us, guide the conversation and decisions, help us to make wise decisions in every decision that we make for this parish. Lord, we just ask for a peace on the Cheney family, Lord. We ask that you would just help them through this difficult situation in the passing of Brandy Cheney, and that you would just bring a peace upon that entire family in this community. And Lord, we ask that you would just keep everyone safe on the roads today and tonight. And we praise you and thank you, and we ask all this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentlemen, if you'll make a note that everyone is present, please. And I would like to remind the public that if you have a wish to speak on any issue, if you'll come forward now and sign in, you'll be called upon at the appropriate time. Yeah, you'll have your 3 minutes to speak. There are no chair additions at this time. We will now move on to item number 5, monthly contract reports.
Good evening. The monthly contract report for February 2012 is listed in your packet. I'll give you a moment to look over it. If anyone have any questions?
Yes.
I have one. River Parish security system, and I'm just, what is this for all buildings?
Yes, it's all the parish facilities. It's the jail, the health units, the White House. All our security systems are through River Parish. So it's on the cameras, the monitoring, the maintenance.
So the cameras that we have at our recreation parks and stuff, they the one that manage that too?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Right. Moving on to item number 6, Ascension Economic Development Corporation Quarterly Report. Mr. Mike Eads.
Good evening. I'm pleased to come before you to give us our quarterly report. And you have before you the, the project summary sheet, which is our couple of pages. Actually, this is the first, should be the first page, and then a more detailed summary of activity after that. But activity level is extremely high. I'm pleased to report. And we've got 15 what we call A projects, which which are the companies that we feel certain are going to make a decision to invest somewhere, hopefully here. But normally those A projects are funded, and so it's a pretty much sure thing that they are going to do something somewhere. And our Bs are the companies that we have an ongoing rapport with, and that they have been to the community, to the parish at least once in person, so there's serious activity. The Cs are more what we call suspects, people we've had communication with, submitted sites to, that type of thing, but they actually haven't gotten foot on the ground, so to speak. But just to walk you through the A projects on an individual basis, first one of those being Methanex. They are continuing to pursue the due diligence on the property in Geismar. That process will continue until June or so, at which time, hopefully, the property will be found in good shape to support what they want. The property and its infrastructure and community infrastructure and electricity, et cetera, will be found suitable to be able to support their deal, and they will make a formal announcement that they are bringing this project to Ascension Parish. But it isn't a done deal yet, and they still have an option on a piece of land in Texas. They are not spending any money on that site, which is a good sign, but it's not a done deal yet. Project Pope, this is a biofuels project that we've been working for some number of months. Some of you may recall that we had this listed as a pending announcement the last time we talked to you, and unfortunately we have run into a site problem with this company, and the chosen site they wanted to go to has some extensive wetland issues involved with it, and so we're not in the first place anymore. We're still in the hunt, but we're not in first place. We're still plugging away at it, but not as a sure thing as we once thought. Project Greenleaf, that is a waste oil re-refining project that has been, we've been dealing with them since around the first of the year. Very fast track project. They have a start to say a purchase option that might be stretching an agreement to agree with a property owner, and again are involved in due diligence on that property. There is a competitor to that deal in another state, and we will find out. The executives of the company were in town last week and told us that they would be, there's a board meeting at the end of March where they expect to get the funding approval for the project, and shortly after that a decision will be made as to which location it's going to. Project Oriole is another substantial project, as you see, $550 million. Again, we're at the stage with them of trying to tie down the property for them. Not for them, but help them tie down the property, and are making good progress with that, I'm pleased to report. And that decision will be made this probably in midsummer. Project Waterford is a fairly new project that's coming in. This is a logistics, what I call logistics project. It's a river-oriented logistics project, and they have shortlisted a piece of property in the parish as one of the finalist sites. Frontier, as you can see, is a very large capital investment deal. Even we are not privy to what the product is of this operation, and they are looking at least two sites, one in Ascension and one in St. James. We don't have a feel at this stage where we stack up in the mix, whether we're in the lead or in second place, but it is a serious company. And then Project Angus is another biofuels company, and again we have a site for that on the short list, and that decision will be made in early fall. So that covers all the the attraction project, the attraction projects. And then we get into the retention expansion, Project Catch. We've been talking about that for some number of months. As a company is already located in Ascension Parish, been here many years, and unfortunately has outgrown their site and needs to go somewhere else to expand and build a very nice campus. I just left the preferred site is a piece of land on Orris Roth Road that is currently in the parish and is in the process of being annexed into the city of Gonzales in order to enable a zoning change to accommodate this project. And I just left City Council meeting. The Planning Commission, the City Planning Commission had approved a recommendation to Council to rezone the property, but the Justice Department has not made their ruling on the annexation yet. And so I think the City Council felt like they'd be inappropriate to act on that recommendation without that approval being given, and they have sent that back to the Planning Commission. We should get that approval in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll start that process over. Project Clearview is the entertainment complex. We've been talking about this, looking at the old Walmart up here on Airline. Continue to pursue that with the developer and the city. St. Elizabeth Hospital. We have been talking to them for a little while, a few months, about incentives, and they actually have filed what is called an advance notification form with the Louisiana Department of Economic Development for the enterprise zone. You see there for the expenditure of estimated $6.5 million and about 5 new jobs. Project Apple. This is a chemical project that you may recall a couple of months ago you approved a 1-cent sales tax rebate. That decision will be made in April. I'm feeling pretty confident about it, although it's not a done deal. Project Dashboard is another of our large existing industries, and they have multiple projects on the drawing board. Looking here, some of them in another facility in a nearby parish and some of them out of state. As you can see that there's a whopping amount of investment potential on that. Project Waterloo, this is another very good example of what we run into all the time. A company that's been in the parish for a number of years, but they've run out of room on their site. They cannot grow. They're constrained, they're landlocked, and so they need to find another place so they can grow. They're going to add, I don't think it says on there, but I believe 30 to 50,000 square feet in addition to what they have, and a goodly number of employees. So we're in the process of helping them find an alternate location. Hope to keep them in the parish. Project Patron is a small project, but they all count. It's a very good company that we have in the parish that's looking at expanding about 12 new jobs. And then finally, last but not least, is the Project Stardust, which is the next item on the agenda. With that, unless you have questions about projects, I'll move on. Any questions about the prospects?
I got a quick
Yes, sir.
question.
Sure, Randy.
Basically, on the project, you said that's looking at Reese Roth Road,
Yes, sir.
just for example, and it's already it's in the parish, but it's already within the wheels already turning to get it annexed into the city of Gonzales.
That's correct. The annexation has been done as far as what the city needs to do, but it has to be approved by the Justice Department, I guess, for voting rights, that type of thing. And they have not received that approval yet. I don't think there's an issue there. It's just, it takes a while.
I'm going to ask you a question. Do you see the trend of non-industrial facilities moving toward the cities, toward the city of Gonzales, per se?
Mr. Gould, I wouldn't say that per se. This is a little bit unusual situation. This company wants to be in a new markets tax credit district.
Yeah.
And if you're familiar with that at all, on this side of the river, there's a single district that runs from Highway 30 to Perpera Avenue to Airline to Corner View, all the way back over to I-10 and down back to 30. So it's that long block of land, and that's the only only district on this side of the river that is qualified for new market tax credits. And so that was the impetus for looking in that area.
Right.
Not easy to find a 20 or 25 acre tract of land in that geography.
Right.
And ideally, you wouldn't try to put a company on a residentially zoned piece of property. We couldn't have done it in the parish, and so that was the genesis of getting it annexed into the city, so they could hopefully redo the zoning to accommodate it. And that's how we got there.
But basically, the city has no problem rezoning it.
The Planning Commission recommended the property, unanimously recommended to the City Council that the property be rezoned.
How about the residents in that area? Have they opposed,
Yes,
any opposition?
yes.
And the reason I'm asking right now, I'll just close with this, is that I talked to someone last night, a businessman that tried to get, and he was pretty close to the zoning area that he needed, which is out in the parish, but in an area that has commercial around it. And he was probably 2 feet away or 3 feet away outside the zoning. And, went through a generous amount of work to try to get that accomplished, and couldn't get accomplished, and he just went to the city of Gonzales.
I'll make the same argument to you that I made to the City Planning Commission, that I think there's the extenuating one of the extenuating circumstances here is you're not dealing with a pig in a poke.
Right.
It's a very well-known company that's been in this community for a long time, 40-some years.
Yeah.
And their neighbors, they have had no problem with their neighbors or where they are now. Been a very good corporate citizen. They're willing to develop the site, with a buffer zone and that type of thing, and to continue to be a good neighbor.
Sure.
And hopefully that we can make this work, because if we don't, they're going to move to another parish. And we're going to lose the 85 jobs that they have now and the 90 or so that they're going to create,
Thank you, Mayor.
along with their $10 million in capital expenditures.
Yeah, I don't want that to leave. Thank you.
Thank you,
Just
Mike.
some other, excuse me. Yes, sir.
One question, Mike.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Shakespeare.
Yeah, Mike, and I think as we all sit here and represent the people in the parish and realize, because the parish did not act in a positive manner to rezone
That's correct.
these people, it doesn't mean that they're not going to move to that site. Sometimes people do have alternatives, and we have, in the past 5 or 6 years, we've lost some prime commercial and manufacturing sites that would be paying into the parish and allow us to try to get back some infrastructure or be able to pay for some infrastructure. And they've just simply been annexed into Gonzales. Gonzales takes that monies and spends it on infrastructure. So just to try to get across, it's not as simple as it seems. Well, if we oppose this, then they're going to go away. A number of businesses have done that. We've seen some big ones, two being Edenborn, which is going to be a very, very, very large thing, and now the process of having MP Evans property, which is a substantial thing, just as it's becoming to be a very profitable endeavor for the parish, where we can, for the first time, reap some benefits on sales tax and stuff by not being conducive to working with the people in zoning issues and things of that sort. They just simply go into the city of Gonzales and get it rezoned and bring in the commercial there, and they take in that. So we have to be receptive to that. I think we really need to be careful about what we do, because we want to protect the citizens. And but we are following a very slippery slope. So,
If I could comment on that, a little further on that, this project needs to be in light industrial zoning, and so that's not an option in the parish, because the parish doesn't have light industrial zoning. All they have is heavy industrial zoning. So, and some of you who've been on the council for a while know that that's an issue that we've addressed before, and hopefully is going to continue to follow and get some
And that's one
remedy
of the
there.
things that we're going to try to address in the near future. That was why we brought it up.
I neglected to, you probably read it, but I was talking about the level of activity there where you see, that we've got $5.some billion in potential investment in the parish. And I don't know if you read my note there, but in March of last year, that number was 1.8 million. So it just gives you some idea of the amount of activity and interest that there is out there, which we're grateful for. See how much of it we can wrestle to the ground and tie up is the key. Any other questions about projects?
We had two, Councilman Lamb.
Yeah, Mike, just on the Waterloo, is it are they out of property, or is it a zoning issue?
They're out of property. They just can't expand on the site is almost totally consumed.
Okay, and you're working on helping
Yes, sir.
relocate? Okay.
Yes. We're waiting to get the, we've met with the company twice, and we're waiting to get the go-ahead, to go look for, or they're waiting to get the go-ahead from higher up to go find another piece of property, and we expect to get that in the next month or so, and then we'll go out and start beating the bushes for them.
Councilman Jones.
Yeah, Mike, you know what I'm gonna tell you. I got over 25,000 acres on the West Bank over there, looking for jobs, looking for these industry. If you say they ain't got no space, we got it on the West Bank, okay? And that means they still stay in the parish. We still get the tax revenue. So I would encourage you to push them over to the West Bank if you don't have nothing over here.
And we do have some activity on the mega site. It doesn't show up on as an A project right now. We had it as an A project, but we got told last week that it's been B listed for a variety of reasons, but the interest is still there. Also, we have another inquiry of a project. I'm trying to see if we can find a way to expand the Donaldsonville Industrial Park to accommodate this project. There's not enough land left. They need about 100 acres, and there's only about 50 or 60 acres left in Donaldsonville Industrial Park. But this land is immediately adjacent to it, which if you add the two together, may be able to make it work. So we're working with the owner of that property to see if they might sell it. And, I think the longer term, Mr. Jones, that we need to start taking a look at is, are there opportunities upriver, on the river, in that area for industrial development? I know that's generally speaking, we're told that's a very shallow part of the river in there, as opposed to the east bank, and that's why it hadn't developed. But I think it's something we need to start taking a look at.
Yeah.
Because we are quickly running out of industrial property, I can tell you that, in this parish.
Well, I'm all in favor of rezoning when we got to rezone for jobs on the West Bank.
Just other, on our strategic initiatives, you see we've cranked up our visitations with existing industry. Things are still very positive. We haven't found any serious issues with the community. The biggest complaint we're hearing from our existing industry is they can't find truck drivers. And I don't know what's going on with that, but I think it's a little bit out of our bailiwick. But although I have conveyed that to Joe Ben Welsh at River Parish Community College. I don't know if he wants to get in the truck driver training business, but there's a demand out there. The other item is the film industry. We've gotten sort of disjointed here, and I think we're doing a little bit of it, tourism doing a little bit of it, some of the chambers doing a little bit of it. Just we need to get together and sit down and have a powwow, so to speak, and make sure everybody's on the same page. Maybe think about forming a film commission that meets periodically, so we stay in tune. And please understand, I'm not suggesting something that would be funded and staffed, just a coordinating group. It's something we might want to take a look at. We are taking a look at our social media and making sure that we're properly positioned and doing the right thing. That's the latest greatest thing, as everybody knows, and making sure we're marketing the parish properly through that venue. And then finally, in your handout, you'll see a working, what's called working draft from LED on there on four proposed economic development incentives. I call your attention to that second one on there that has to do with the possibility of making the 10-year tax abatement available to non-industrial projects. You know, we can already do that, as you know, through a payment in lieu of taxes agreement. And so, you know, it's not like the incentive doesn't exist. This has got to obviously meet the muster of the legislature and then go to the people in the form of a referendum. And should that all fall into place, then the parish would be able to opt in or opt out of that program. In other words, you'd be able to give the authority to LED to make that offer for you or not. We'll just stay tuned to that and keep you advised. And again, there's a long way to go on stuff, but just wanted to make you aware of it.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike, I appreciate you bringing out the Ascension Film Commission. I see with no staff will be involved with it. What would you do to make this happen?
Well, I think what we need to do, we've got two databases running right now. I know we've got one, and tourism has one. And when I say database, I'm talking about photo shoots of potential filming locations. And I think maybe Donaldsonville, downtown Donaldsonville's got something similar. We just need to make sure it's coordinated, and that when the State Film Commission, where most of these people come from, these prospects come from, when they go start looking around for a place, that we're all on the same sheet of music.
Great.
Mike, what's your time frame for getting together with all the different resources?
Well, we were waiting on the new tourism director to be named, and that has happened. So I don't think that person has started yet on the job. So there's going to be hopefully in another 2-3 weeks we can get this together.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes, Mike, I want to thank you for coming. We've asked all of our boards and everything to come here on a quarterly basis and make reports, and y'all have done that diligently. We appreciate that. And I'd like to ask Chris from the council and Tommy from administration if we can contact the rest of our boards and try to get them to start coming here. I know we're not making quarterly reports on a timely manner, and we need to reemphasize the need for everyone to get here, so we get reports from them and get a status, because it really helps on all of these things, and we appreciate y'all doing that and leading.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mike, very much for the work of your staff, your board. I see you have members here, and Mr. Dawson's present, Mr. Deanna's present. And we thank you very much for the opportunity to hear from you. It's amazing what is happening in Ascension Parish. Yes. We appreciate the effort that you are making to ensure that these projects come to the table. Thank you very much. If we'll move on now to item number 7, which is a review of specific incentive recommendation for Project Stardust.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I have to recuse myself on this item.
Thank you, sir.
I'm just going to give you a briefing on it. I think Mr. Dawson's got some remarks, and we also have a representative of the company here in case you have any questions. But as you can see on the summary you have, this is a potential expansion of one of our existing companies. The competition is a community in in Kentucky, where I'm so used to saying Texas because we compete with them all the time. Kentucky, where they have a similar operation to the one here. The construction impact you see there is about 400 temporary construction jobs with a payroll of $80 million. You see the capital investment, about $466 million. The inventories, the average value that would be subject to your inventory tax is about $10 million. The The number we give you the direct total parish tax revenues in the first 10 years, that is all entities in the parish. That's schools, sheriff, library, et cetera, et cetera. And then the next one, called direct parish general fund, for lack of a better word, includes only the ad valorem and sales tax revenue that would come to the parish, I guess, the general operating budget. Is that the correct term, Mr. Martinez? So, anyway, the bottom line is the AEDC board has has made a recommendation to the parish council that you offer this company 1/2 of your 1-cent sales tax as an incentive to locate this expansion in the parish. As you can see there, we have shown you that it is cash flow positive, in that that estimated value is $1.8 million to the company, and your sales and ad valorem taxes over that 10-year period is $2.18 million. So it is a cash flow positive deal. And y'all understand these numbers are worst case scenarios. We're making the assumption here that everything is captured under sales tax. And, you know, that's not a picture of reality, but you know, it's because there's always going to be some leakage in there. I mean, as the state, when I hear this presentation made by the state about the enterprise zone, et cetera, and they talk about, you know, what qualifies and what doesn't. Things like it's the nail and not the hammer, if you understand. So it's only things that stay on the site permanently during the construction process. And, you know, it's just hard to, you know, to give you a definitive number on exactly what that is. So this is actually a worst case, or a best case, depending on which side of the table you're on. I just want to make sure you understand that. And it does not include the soft cost in here. You see that $466 million includes labor and engineering in there. So that doesn't fall down, obviously, to the sales tax category, because it's not subject to sales tax. That is the recommendation.
Madam Secretary.
I would like to have some discussion about this issue first, if you don't mind,
Okay.
Randy. I have a couple of questions myself, and if others have questions, then I'll be happy to recognize you. Mike, if you would tell me, I understand that this project was announced in 2007.
That
and
is
again,
correct.
announced in 2010. And so my concern is this a project that is already under construction? Or is this a project that, and has something more come to the table that we are not aware of?
The
since
original
initial
announcement was $300 million, and obviously that's grown to 466. I think when you say the project is under construction, my understanding is that there's a couple of things going on. One is if you know the project, the site we're talking about, there's a new substation. Energy's building a new substation on Highway 30, and then the company is making some improvements to property for a laydown yard for the construction materials. But they are, is my understanding, they are not prepping the site for this project at this stage. That is still competitive. Just to give you a little more background, the driver of this project is the company is buying chlor-alkali from another company, and therefore doesn't have price control, so to speak. And it's a very critical component of their final product, and very expensive. And so what they're trying to do is control their own destiny and produce it on the site. This can also be done in Kentucky. So,
Any other questions? Mr. Joseph?
Mike, I guess, you know, we know we have to do something with incentive to keep business here. But I guess my question here is that the time frame we're doing this in, and I guess a lot of new councilmen here is new at this here, and they just want more in-depth answers on how this process will work for them to feel comfortable, because you know, we're giving tax dollars away
I understand.
for jobs, and some of them just don't. You know, they may not want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. You know, just don't feel comfortable doing some of that. Okay.
I understand that's right.
And so, I mean, for them to feel good, I mean, really and truly, they just want to ask questions. And that's one of them is, what is the great incentive? And I know you show us these great numbers up here, you know. I mean, 80, what is this, 60 direct new jobs, you know?
That's right.
And I guess the other question is, how many of those jobs will be coming from Ascension Parish? And I mean, that's a touchy question, I think.
Well, let me go back to the first part. I think one of the things we'd like to stress is you're only seeing part of the impact. What we're showing you is only the direct impact of the construction and initial equipping of this operation. The wages of the construction workers, not the wages, but the expenditures of the construction workers while they're here in Ascension Parish is not included. It's you know, we know there's a number out there. I've got that number, but I'm not going to, you know, you're getting into start getting into that fuzzy math that I can't prove to you. So we don't want to get that. Then you've got the workers themselves. You know, I mean, the model we use says that 45% of the people who will take those jobs will be from Ascension Parish. That's, you know, pick a number. There's no way to know that, but that's a pretty standard based on the commuting patterns that we see and that type of thing. But, you know, it may be 60, I mean, it may be 50, it may be, we just don't have anybody know. So we don't use the wages of those workers to show you sales tax revenue, but it's there. And so, you know, we're trying to be as conservative as we can possibly be and just stick to the project itself, and without getting into the multipliers. I mean, if you really want to know, I mean, we run this model. There's a copy of the entire output of the model, and if you want to know how much, let's see, this project is going to generate $55,368 in sporting goods sales. I mean, if you want to know that level of detail, we'd be happy to give it to you, but I think we're getting way too complicated when we do that. And I forgot your second. Oh, the second question was the percentage of people. You know, we default that to 45%, but it's very difficult to measure, and you understand that is a dynamic too. That can change over time.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Chris?
Mike, for the benefit of everyone, could you kind of review some of the history of the Quality Jobs Program as far as the criteria, whether or not it was designed for new businesses, existing, you know, all of those kind of
I didn't understand your question, Chris. I'm sorry.
For the benefit of everyone, especially the new folks up here, can you kind of discuss the criteria around the Quality Jobs
Okay,
initiative
certainly.
and also, you know, its
Yeah.
purpose?
As we work through this Ascension Advantage program with our board and the council last year, the first thing we said is there's got to be at least 20 jobs. Now that's not a hard and fast number. You've actually given a sales tax break for 18 jobs, but generally speaking, we want at least 20 jobs. The second criteria is that those jobs qualify for the Quality Jobs Program from the state of Louisiana. And that has to do with a level of pay, which I believe right now is, help me, Deanna, it's $14.25 an hour minimum, which includes $1.25 25 cents in healthcare. And so, we want to make sure that we're incentivizing good jobs with good healthcare, or with good benefits. That's the first screening criteria, so to speak. And once it gets past that point, then we subject it to this this model that Baton Rouge Area Chamber provides us. After we get the company to fill out all the data, what are they spending in particular on each individual item, wages, et cetera, et cetera. And then the process is that it goes to our board. The staff makes a recommendation to our board, and that our board amends it, passes it, throws it out, whatever, and then it comes to you. The ultimate result is, presuming your approval, is that there would be a cooperative endeavor agreement between the parish and this company, or any of these companies, spelling out the details of what the expectations are, and that they have to meet these criteria.
Mike, was it designed for existing businesses?
Yes, but either one.
Or regardless, basically just jobs, period?
Right. Either one. And that's what you want. I mean, you want to reward the people who have been here as well as the new ones.
Benny?
Mike, a couple of questions. I'm going to a little bit more, I guess, detail on what Councilman Joseph did. So what I'm basically understanding, over the 10-year time frame, whereas we would normally get in 2.1 million in revenue, we're going to get, if we allow this incentive, we get 342,000 over that 10-year period. Is that correct, or thereabouts? I mean, I know it's not the.
Yeah, you'll get a net of that over that 10-year period.
And I guess the other question that Councilman Joseph was alluding to get into a little bit more detail, is there a way within these negotiations that we can require some level of minimum number of local residents to be hired in these permanent jobs with this? Because, I mean, we're getting continually, and not necessarily just for this one project, but for all of them, we're continually giving up the taxpayers' money here, or we're giving these incentives towards these companies to do these things, and we're getting no guarantees as to the number of people locally that are going to get jobs. And that's can be a sour taste in some people's mouth if we got a bunch of people from outside the parish coming and working in here.
Mr. John, I mean, I think that can be handled in the cooperative endeavor agreement.
At what stage does that agreement have to be reached with the company?
Well, that's sort of the final,
It follows
piece,
our action here.
Right, and the problem comes in there about how you measure it, and there's ways to do it. I don't think you're reinventing the wheel here. It's been done in the past. That that if any of you are in business employing people, you have to file a quarterly report with Employment Security, or with Louisiana Workforce Commission, saying how many employees you got, and you can require them to give you the zip codes. I don't think they have to give you the person's name.
Right, but I mean, as a basis of this, let's say we said 60%, just for a figure for discussion, as minimum number of employees on a permanent job scale. This is a rebate, so if they didn't meet that criteria, we could hold back on the rebate as a contingency if that was part of the contract?
I think that's, it's all in negotiations, but you understand you're looking at a snapshot in time when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it could be 2 days later and all of a sudden those percentages change.
Exactly.
But I mean, upon that, at least as far as that particular date and time is concerned, I mean, we'd have to understand that, and that wouldn't be no big issue as far as if we said 60% by, of the permanent employees out of that particular incentive by 6 months post completion of the project type time frame. Then of course, as that goes along, that can ebb and flow depending on people who you may hire them from here, but they may not work out, and so you got to move on.
I would suggest, if you're going to do that there'll be some graduated. If 60% is a number, you get 100%. If it's 50%, it's something.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Malaso?
Let me, do you mind, Terry?
I don't mind at all, Mr. Bill, but let me let Brian ask his question, and then allow me to introduce you, please.
Okay.
In addition to maybe doing some kind of requirement, can we also negotiate in that a certain percentage of the products or labor or different things that are being used also be say maybe equipment be purchased inside the parish, so that, you know, we're not losing tax dollars on that end as well being purchased outside the parish, but that would also be, we would recognize more revenue from that and make sure that we're supporting other local businesses.
Mr. Nonson, it's a contract, and I think you could put in it whatever
That's something that we should look
whatever
at,
you're
Bill.
willing to take, or whatever the customer's willing to accept. And, you know, there's got to be a limitation, I think, up, you know, that you start putting a lot of restrictions on, like that on it, but it's a contract.
One more question from a councilman, and then I'll introduce Mr. Dawson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Eads, the construction period is 18 months?
The normal construction period under, in this case, Quality Jobs Program with the state, which is what we're following, is 24 months. But they can get another 6 months grace period, so to speak. So
the rebated figures that are in your model, the single page we have here tonight, is that over an 18-month period, or is it?
it's
In other words,
over.
if they don't finish in 18 months and they go to 24, the numbers would change.
Well,
Right.
again, it's on the construction materials and initial equipping of the operation.
Pretty fixed. Okay.
So,
Is there any, I know it's all fuzzy, and I remember, first of all, I want to say thank you for in the Methanex, and as a new councilman, thank you also, Oliver, for looking out for us, because I do have some concerns. This is a one-page model, and in that former situation where you invited us all into your office, it was quite detailed and modeled and so forth. It's kind of, you know, it's like just seeing this for the first time tonight. But we talked about things, and I'd have a lot of other questions, like, is this adjusted for time value of money?
yes,
The model
yes, sir.
here tonight?
Yes, 2%.
Okay. Let's go ahead and, I guess, Madam Chairman, hear from,
I'd like to recognize Mr. Bill Dawson, who is the president of the AEDC board, and thank him for coming to participate tonight.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things, Councilman Johnson. I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly, but the $30,000 or $34,000, that's ad valorem taxes. That's what you'd get on the inventory. That's not, it doesn't have anything to do with what you're giving up. The state has already given up your property taxes. So this is just what you'll get in addition. I think one of the things that's different here from what we brought you before is that you're rebating a half cent, but you're getting a half cent. So for the construction period, and you talked about that, Councilman Satterley, for the 2-year period of construction, you will rebate $1.8 million, and you'll get in additional taxes $1.8 million over that 2-year construction period. So for every penny or every dollar that you rebate, you're going to get an additional penny or dollar in additional taxes from this. Okay. So I wanted to also talk about employment opportunities. One of the reasons that we've been reluctant to do that is, one, it's hard to track. Secondly, you have to put something in there that says that they can find qualified people in Ascension Parish. I'm not saying that they can't, but you know, for some industries, they have to go across the parish lines to find people that meet their qualifications. Then you come into another issue of how many qualified people did they interview, and it's more complicated than it appears. And then on the materials issue, obviously we want as much money spent in Ascension Parish as possible. However, in some of these cases, you guys from industry know this, that you know, that a lot of things are fabricated outside. There are a lot of things that can't be purchased in Ascension Parish, a lot of these industrial products. That becomes a hindrance on the company. So I just asked you to think about that. You know, this project, as Dr. Satterley was asking, this is a 10-year cash flow. So what you're looking at is the net present value of the 10-year cash flow. At the end of 10 years, the property tax exemption goes away, and you pick that back up, all your ad valorem taxes. So all these numbers are brought back to that net present value. But I think the important thing for us is, again, that for the sales tax, In this case, you're going to get $1 in extra revenue for every dollar that you rebate. Thank you. I also wanted to recognize plant managers here, Mr. Casey, if you guys had any questions or if you wanted to make a few comments, if you don't mind, Madam Chairman.
Mr. Casey, you're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Just a few comments. First of all, good evening. As Mr. Dawson said, I'd just try to address some of the questions. Hiring is a very important key in the plant, and we have tried very hard to find people in the parish. Right now, snapshot of the plant is over 50% is Ascension Parish employees. We look at it again, though, we need to make sure we have qualified people for the jobs. And we've done work with schools, with ITI and such, to make sure we have programs in place that we do have people trained, capable of moving into the jobs once they become available. So it's not just going out interviewing at the time. We have to do work as industry, working with schools, making sure people get the talents they need to be able to work in the plants. Also, the other question about purchasing in the parish itself, the point was made, and the same point I'd like to make. A lot of the equipment is specialized. I'll be perfectly honest, the high-cost items are only made by 1 or 2 people worldwide for the type of business we're in. But items that are in the parish, we have contracts, what we call blanket orders, where we buy long-term from local vendors as much as we can to support the parish. Our plant's part of the parish, and we work hard to make sure that we maintain that. But again, there'll be times where we have to go outside the parish for either equipment or sometimes for certain skills that we have to look for. But we're cognizant of that, and we'll work hard at that as this project goes through to make sure that all happens. Also, with the project, just to clarify what we're doing, one of our feedstocks in the plant is chlorine. And right now, we get that chlorine from other sources. Most of it's out of state. We buy it from either other companies or we bring it from our facility in Kentucky. When we do that, we not only pay a higher price for that chlorine, but we don't take advantage of what's a co-product of making chlorine, which is caustic soda, which is, people in industry know that's one of the building blocks in a lot of industries. So by building this facility here, not only will we be able to bring our feedstock on site that we use, but we'll also generate another feedstock that we'll be able to sell. So for our plant, which is, compared to our competitors, is a very small one. If you go out there and look at the size of even our plant in Kentucky, being able to have this product on site, being able to sell another product out of it rather than just buying the product or feedstock for ourselves is going to be a great advantage for the site. But again, to reiterate, the points that you've made tonight are well taken. We need to make sure we support the parish not only in jobs, but also in purchasing. But it's something we have to work on together, because if it's a yes-no type of thing, give me a number, say I have to hire X percentage, we'll try as hard as we can, but there may be restrictions on that as well. And again, with equipment, it depends upon where that equipment is. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we accept the incentive program for this project.
I'll
Have
second
a
that.
motion.
I'll second that.
Have a second by Councilman Lohr. Any objections?
Discussion.
Discussions?
Discussion. I just want to bring a couple things up, because we appreciate you guys coming here, and we appreciate Westlake and all the other industries that are here very much. This is what makes people come into Ascension Parish and live the good life that we do have. It's kind of, I know you guys are wondering why are we concerned about giving incentives to get these great jobs in and everything. However, it does make us sit back with the people that are here with this growth in industry. Also comes a growth in people that follows, and therefore the parish governing body, which ends up being us, needs to take care of the infrastructure needs that is created by all of this growth. And we have a responsibility to try to fill those infrastructure needs. And this time when you go to Washington and they say, oh, we don't have any money, and you go to the state, we don't have any money, then we have to go back to the local people and try to get enough funds to be able to build enough infrastructure to make their lives continue to be at the value that they are now. That being said, that's why we're cautious. And so we need to make sure that this money is well spent, that we do get a return for the bucks, that we explain to people that there is a return, even though we are, and I hate to use the term giving away, we are incentivizing someone to locate here for our better benefit in the long run. We need to make sure, and I think economic development has done a pretty good job of demonstrating that it allows us to be better off because you came here than you were before. I would like to see as part of the incentives that we have a number on these things with jobs and purchasing and such as that would encourage the company that if they went above, we had a baseline number, and if they went above, it encouraged them to go above, they would get rewarded more. And, you know, if let's just say if there's 45% is the normal thing we're expecting for employment, if they go out and have 60% local people, then the rebate could be more, and so on. If they get more local products, the rebate would be more. So it would give an incentive to the local business that comes here to try to do something that would be above and beyond, and yet it wouldn't be a hard and fast thing for the problem that you have in filling certain things. And certainly we also ought to be looking at the people that are living right next to us, St. James, Livingston, Assumption, Iberville. These people are living there, working in these plants also. They do spend a lot of their money here. So I know we have a number of people that live in Ascension Parish that work out in Iberville and St. James and so on. And that's not a negative. So if this region can retain the jobs, I think that's something we really need to look at also. That if we can keep them in this region, naturally we like to keep them all in Ascension Parish, but we're not. And so those are some of the things I'd like to see within that as we negotiate for this. But as a whole, I'm pretty satisfied that this parish will be much better off with you guys locating here and we giving you an incentive to do that. And I feel a lot better now being explained that this is something above and beyond what was expected or what you had before. We were kind of led to believe that this is something that was already here, and we were kind of giving a thank you for being here, which we do. We do thank you very much, but we want to know that it is an incentive, and we'd like to make it work out. And I also like to say that I think we're all learning with this. It's kind of new, and we're trying to make the right decisions. So all of these things we're trying to work out as we go. So thank you very much for coming.
I'm sorry.
The parish president wanted to speak, and I'd gladly allow him to. Mr. Lohr.
Thank you. I'm sensitive to the comments because I shared them as well from Councilman Joseph and Councilman Satterley about needing to get more background and details on this. I would say, though, the reason I seconded it is because we have 3 weeks still before this will obviously, if this does pass, motion does pass, still have to come to the council for a final decision. And I also think there's been a lot of discussion about ways to improve this. Some tonight from Councilman Schexnayder, but we've also, I've heard a number of things around tightening up the criteria, deciding really amongst ourselves whether we want to incentivize existing businesses versus attracting new. There's been a number of discussions around, and I will make a commitment to with Finance Chairwoman Cazzo to continue to try to bring other entities to this table around the incentives, be it the other municipalities, the sheriff, the school board, exploring more of the payment in lieu of taxes, because I think we do the lion's share as far as incentivizing goes and don't always receive the benefit. But that being said, I keep coming back to the project list that you distributed earlier, and this is one of the top 3 projects. I mean, $500 million of investment, and we just did Project Apple. That was $100 million and 25 new jobs. So I feel that despite some of these concerns, that it's still the right move because we're not holding people to different standards, especially within our own parish. But that being said, I do think we got to take a hard look at this and tighten this up and get this to where we're all comfortable. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Well, certainly, Westlake, prior to that, was been here quite a while, and it's a company. It was the Bordens before that, and they've hired people for many, many years. And our program, I think everybody's comments that were made tonight are well taken. In the future, we're going to have to certainly tighten up. Mr. Parrington and I have talked today, and we certainly want to bring you some sort of a game plan in the future as far as putting together an incentive program and something like you discussed tonight, where it would be a graduated type thing, rather than going out and saying, here, take 1 cent and it's over. So I think the half cents is a move in the right direction. Tonight, I think that Mr. Parrington and I are going to continue looking at this. We know that there's an Attorney General's opinion that says you can't give away more than you take in. So this is one that we certainly were looking at as far as that happening. So hopefully we can put together some sort of program to work with you guys and put together a program that in the future that we can look at and you guys can adopt, and we'll work with Mike and we'll work with everybody concerned that has any input. So O'Neill and I, as I said, we'll get together with you. If anybody wants to give us any input, we'll be certainly happy to take it. And in the future, hopefully we can come up with a program that's beneficial not only to our industries but also to the citizens here, and where we won't be giving up everything. Because we're going to need, as Mr. Schexnayder said, infrastructure is a crucial thing here, and the time is here that we have to address several issues. And certainly, if we're going to go before the people for new taxes in the future for our infrastructure, we have to be careful on what we give away. And that's basically what I was saying. But I think in this situation, it's a good move.
Thank you. I want to thank Mike and Bill and Mr. Casey specifically for coming and allowing us to thoroughly vet this project. I think that in the interest of the parish, that's our responsibility, particularly those of us who are new. And I think, Mike, you might have had
I just want to make one more comment. The council's desire to have structure to this program is a good thing. There's 24 parishes in Louisiana that just automatically authorize a rebate of all non-dedicated sales and use taxes under enterprise zone and quality jobs, just automatically right out of the bat. And I don't agree with it. That's not good business. And what we're doing is good business. We're doing like business does, and that's the way it should be done.
Thank you.
Appreciate your all's cooperation.
Thank you. I'm particularly pleased to have my question answered because, I go to that website and it says project announced, and I'm like, okay, we're not putting a thank you check in the mail
Right.
for $1.8 million. I mean, thank you, Mr. Casey, Bill, Mike, for answering that question for me earlier this afternoon. I appreciate it very much. And I think we have a motion on the floor from Councilman Kluwat, a second by Councilman Lohr. Are there any objections to this project? Then the motion passes. Move on to item number 8. Professional services contract between the Parish of Ascension and Cartograph from March 1st, 2012 through February 28, 2013. Renewal in the amount of $53,945.69 for database security support. O'Neill, looks like you're the man.
I guess I'm the person. I spoke with Brandon about this. This is the Cartograph system, which basically runs all the work orders for DPW, for the drainage system, for recreation department, et cetera, and we've had this contract since 2004. Brandon, it's always been below $50,000, but as the company increases its licensing ability, the price goes up. And so this is the contract that came up for that, and they're just asking for a renewal of this contract.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Councilman Johnson and a second by Councilman Lohr. Any question? Councilman Satterley.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just for a point of edification, I noticed this company is listed as a street address in, I guess that's Dubuque, Iowa. Are there any companies locally or anything that could handle this?
I have no clue. This is Brandon with IT. This is the group that we've handled for years.
We're probably pretty well, I would guess, entrenched in using this system as well.
Absolutely. It does. It runs all the work orders for DPW, for East Ascension Drainage District, for all the recreation. This is the system.
As a result of change would be probably even cost
drastic.
contraindicated.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If we can remember right, when this was first presented, they shopped all around to try to get the one most qualified, and it ended up being there. And so you get the software and hardware from that.
We have a motion by Councilman Johnson and a second by Councilman Lohr. Any further discussion? Any objections? Motion passes. Moving on to item number 9. The road lighting districts number 1 through 6, renewal election information. Ms. Gwen LeBlanc.
Good evening, members of the Finance Committee. You have before you a packet with the 2012 elections, the front page, and this is mostly to be informative for especially the new members. We have 7 road lighting districts in our parish that have a tax. It's 5 mills, 10-year duration, and 6 of them are coming up for election this year. The millage expires at the end of this year. And so you can see the 2 elections that are available for these propositions. It would be the November 6th or the December 1st. And then moving on to the second page, this is IT prepared this map for your information. This is the road lighting districts that are overset on the existing council districts. The numbers are the council districts, as you can recognize. The colored parts are the road lighting districts. 5 are on the west side of the river and 2 are on the east side of the river. And if you look at the legend, you can relate the colors to what districts they're in or what the name of the district is, and then the map would show you what council district it's in. As I look at it, and I might be off a little bit, maybe the council members that are involved could correct me, but Councilman Oliver Joseph has lighting district number 1 and a very small portion of lighting district number 2, which is that pink. Lighting district number 1 is that little bitty dark green shade at the southernmost section of the west side, on the in the middle, really, not the southeast western part. And lighting district number 4 is almost all in the city of Donaldsonville. You can see that darker green. It's kind of close to the river. And then lighting district number 7 is the purple. And then on the east side, we have lighting district number 6, which is the gold, and that encompasses the council districts of Mr. Turner and Councilman Kent Shakespeare. And then the other lighting district is that dark green. It's kind of inside the town of Sorrento, basically, and that's in Councilman Shakespeare's district. And then also Councilman Shakespeare has lighting district number 2, which is the pink, and his section is the majority of lighting district number 2. And then the next page is just each of the propositions that I thought you might be interested in reading. And it's for all 6 of them. Lighting District 7 expires in 2014. So the process the council would follow was to have our bond counsel prepare the election documents and call the election according to the schedule. So I guess if you want to, in the past, there has been a motion by the council authorizing the bond counsel to proceed with calling the elections.
I'll make a motion.
To move forward with bonding attorney.
Second.
Okay. Okay, so I have a motion by Councilman Lambert, Todd. I always have to remember to put the front name on there. And a second by Councilman Shake Snyder.
No, Councilman Joseph.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Joseph. Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder?
Yes. Gwen, these are listed as maximum 5 mils? 'Cause I
Right,
know
road lighting districts, right.
in
In the past, if you've seen one
District
go
2.
above 5 mils, it's because of reassessment. If the property values go down, the millage may go up to produce the same dollar amount as it did the year before.
In District number 2, we collect 1 mil.
The voters approve 5. The council, when you have to adopt your millage each year, which we'll be doing probably in May or June, you have to,
You
the
could
council
roll
has
it back.
chosen to
So we would
assess
have-
1 mil.
We would have the authority, if we would approve a maximum of 5, we would have the authority, for example, number 6 has a surplus, pretty good surplus, we would have the authority to roll, that would be the proper time to roll it back, would be in the May.
If you so chose,
Yes,
yes.
I mean, if we so chose, if we so, could we get, maybe some kind of, printout would give us, something that we can anticipate what would happen if we would, I mean, in particular, lighting district number 6, if we would roll it back to 4 mils, what would that put us financially? And then, for our sake, number 2, where do we stand? I know specifically because we have a lighting project there, we need to see long-term where we stand with number 2 remaining at 1 mil. I would like to get that information. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Lohr?
I'd like to second that approach, and if maybe you could send that out to myself or anybody else. I think anytime we have an opportunity, which is pretty rare, that we may have a surplus in a particular fund, and this is only once every 10 years that we would get a chance to look at it, because once there is that surplus, it's dedicated to that. It's again some of the whole discussion we had around the library. But we need to take a look at that, see what the appropriate level would be, because we know we're going to be coming to ask people for all kinds of other services that we don't have any funding, and we're pulling all the time out of the general fund. So this might be an opportunity. I appreciate Councilman Shake Snyder bringing that up.
For the election, yes, that's opportunity, but just for clarification, each year when we adopt the millage, you can adopt anywhere between 0 and 5 for that year.
Right.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes. Ms. Gwen, unfortunately, I have a lighting district, don't have all that money, and I have one that's lighting district number 7. That, number 5? 7.
7.
In the Modesto
That's,
area.
the bluish color.
Right. And, I just want to iterate that when you say the maximum of 5 mil on it, and we are running on borderline funding with that one right there. That's the most we can do with the millage. Other than that, if the funding don't come, we have to look at another resource to make them funding based, just like we did Lighting District 4. We went to a fee per property. And the only reason I'm saying that because in that area, I'm having additional requests for lights, but based on the budget, it's real tight.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll clarify that with our attorney, that 5 is indeed the max.
Okay, thank you.
Also, like I said, I would like to have a copy of their report that you're going to send to Mr. Shake Snyder as far as the District 6 lighting. So I just want to say, as right now, I'm opposed to dropping the millage down on it.
Yeah.
I would like to keep it at 5.
Right. In the past, there were some large projects in 6 that was on the drawing board, but they just haven't materialized yet.
If I'm not mistaken, some of those projects we have discussed tonight are in District 6 Lighting District, correct? With the Mike Eads. They are in that area.
West.
So that would probably help account for some of those, as they say, excess funds, since that lighting district does have a great amount of money. So once again, I'd like to reiterate that I'd like to keep that at that 5 millage because of those new projects that may come in that district.
Yes. it's option, you know, it's certainly the privilege of the council to adopt the millage. Like I said, I'll prepare a booklet for you, like I always do, the process we go through to adopt the millages. And
If possible, can you say, or show some type of graph that shows if these new projects are built, what effect that would have on those funds?
Yeah.
the industrial areas, if they are in an industrial area, they're exempt from special district taxes, and road lighting is one of them. Fire protection, lighting, sewage districts, you know, anything that you can think of, like naturally, you know, the industry takes care of their own. They don't let our fire trucks roam through their property. Or a road districts, they're exempt. Only on property taxes, not sales taxes.
Gwen, do you need from us tonight a decision on a date for this election, I understand?
If you authorize just your bond counsel to prepare the election documents, they do it, that's part of their duties.
Okay.
And they'll let you know, of all
When-
the time frame that you need.
All right.
Just one.
So I have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert and a second by Councilman Joseph. Any further discussion? Any objections? And the motion passes. Carrying on to item number 10, the sales and use tax report. Ms. Gwen?
Okay, you have before you your monthly sales tax report. This will be January collections, which represents December sales, which also represents the first collection month for the year 2012. And you can see the three lighting districts on the far left, lighting districts, the four sales taxing districts. East Ascension Drainage has a ½ cent. We have two rural sales tax districts, sales and use tax district number 1. Sales tax district number 1 is not dedicated by the voters in the proposition for a specific purpose. It can be used for any lawful function of parish government. The ½ cent sales tax, which is sales tax district number 2, is dedicated by the voters to 2/3 for road construction and 1/3 for fire protection services, which the council delegates to a certain percent by ordinance to our 3 fire protection districts. In the center is the sales tax collections compared 2012 collections to 2012 by the month and by the year to date. And you can see that so far so good. All the sales tax months and year to dates are in the positive. And then on the far right is the budget comparison. And also you can see that they're above budget, which is only at 8.33% of the year. So we hope this trend will certainly continue. And then on page 2, you have your, this is just chart showing the 1 cent sales tax. And you can see that for January, comparing 2011 to 2012, 2012 being the red bar, you can see that all 3 sectors are above 2011, and the business-to-business sector is just about even. And then the pie chart on the 3rd page, this is the 1 cent sales tax also, and this is not scientific, it's just the Sales and Use Tax Authority was prepared this chart trying to depict exactly where our sales taxes were being collected to give you an idea of where they're coming from. And you can see the largest slice of the pie is the petrochemical industry and their suppliers at 55%. And consumer retail, the blue, it's second largest at 31%, and motor vehicles at 10%. And the smallest sector, a slice of the pie, is business to business at 4%. And this will, naturally, this is for the year to date, but it only represents naturally 1 month. And then the 4th page is just a historical depiction of our sales tax collections from 2003 to current 2012, yellow representing the month of January and the red representing the remainder of the year. And you can see what a good year we had in 2011. We're finally getting close to 2008, and hopefully we'll surpass it this year. It was a long recovery during the recession, but we're getting there. And that's all three of our sales taxes. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Ms. Gwen, I'd like to thank you for this wonderful packet here. It helps me tremendously. Thank you so much. Now I understand what all these gentlemen have been saying about get back that pie chart. Thank you very
Sure.
much.
You're welcome. And anything, if you think of anything after tonight, just, feel free to give me a call, and I'll be glad to either provide you anything or give you any information you may desire.
Do we have any questions, gentlemen? Moving along to item number 11, Revenue and Expenditure Report, Ms. Amanda Barat.
Good evening. Before you are the financial reports for the month of January 2012. On page 1, revenues are at 3.69% and 8.33% of the year. The items highlighted in green reflect the funds that are under the budget by 5% or more. And on page 4 of the report, there's an explanation of these funds. The major reason for most of the funds are due to 2011 revenues that came in January and February of 2012 have been reversed January 1st, 2012, and they are reflected in our 2011 financials. So that's the reason why most of these are highlighted. On page 2 of the report is your expenditures, and they're at 23.13% at 8.33% of the year. And the items highlighted in green are the funds that are over the budget by 5% or more. And on page 5 of the report, there's an explanation for those funds. And the major reason for those funds are due to quarterly and annual purchase orders and contracts that are obligated and encumbered on the financials for the year already. On page 3 of the report are charts that compare the year-to-date revenue and expenditures for operating, which is the yellow bar, to capital, which is the blue bar, and capital, which is the blue bar, to the budget, which is the green bar. And the last page of the report is a listing of all checks that were issued in January over $100,000, and the total of these checks are $5,345,861.69. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions, John?
Amanda,
Councilman
the
Lambert?
skate park, this is the final payment?
Which,
I'm sorry, did you get to the check yet?
Last page.
I don't think that's the final payment. I think they still have a little bit left on the contract. Maybe the retainage and a little bit more, I'm not sure. I can let you know.
Any other questions? Moving along to bids, Ms. Joan Shivers from Purchasing.
On February 28, 2012, the Purchasing Department received 4 bids for the Donaldsonville Sewer Plant improvements. After review, the Purchasing Department, GSA, and the Grants Department recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from Terra Renewal Services Incorporated, and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this project.
So moved.
Second.
Let's have a motion by Oliver Jones. Second by Kent. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes. Item 13, request for proposals. Who will be addressing that? Ms. Joan, go right ahead.
On February 23, 2012, the Purchasing Department received 1 proposal for strategic consulting and advocacy services. The proposal was received from John McMillan and Associates. After review, the non-engineering selection committee recommends accepting the proposal submitted by John McMillan and Associates and to authorize the parish president to begin contract negotiations for this service.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, a second by Councilman Kluwat. Any discussion? Any objections? Motion passes.
On February 23, 2012, the Purchasing Department received 8 proposals for loader and excavator leasing service. After review, the non-engineering selection committee recommend accepting the proposal submitted by State Machinery and to authorize the parish president to begin contract negotiations for this service.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
I have a motion and a second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert and Councilman Benny Johnson. Any questions? Any objections? Motion passes. Item number 14, request for professional services, Project Manager, Comprehensive Wastewater Program. Ms. Joe?
On January 31, 2012, the Purchasing Department received 2 proposals for the project manager for the Comprehensive Wastewater Program. The proposals were received from Manshak Consulting Group, which withdrew their proposal, and Water Science LLC. After review, the non-engineering selection committee recommends accepting the proposal submitted by Water Science LLC and to authorize the parish president to begin contract negotiations for this service.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Yes. Mr. Martinez?
Before you adjourn, I'd like to have one more comment, please.
Absolutely, got that for you. Okay, I've got to get back to who made my motion.
Made the motion. Hey, Johnson. Ms. Sadler made the second.
All righty, I have a motion by Councilman Benny Johnson and a second by Dan Satterley. Any discussion? Any objections? Motion passes. The parish president has asked to be recognized at this time, and I gladly do so.
Basically, I want to congratulate our finance department again for winning the GFOA award for financial excellence in reporting, the top award. And I'd like Gwen to say a few words, but on behalf of her department. But again, I just want to congratulate the entire department for an outstanding job. As you see here tonight, everything was prepared and delivered to you on a timely manner, and that's the way they do their business year-round. So, Gwen, congratulations.
Thank you, President Martinez. It's been an honor and a pleasure to work for parish government all these years, and I couldn't do it without an excellent, excellent staff. They're dedicated, they're held to a high degree of accountability, which they endure each and every day, and it's to them I owe my thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will now go to item 15, Councilman.
Adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Thank you. Second, and let's all go home.